Hello, welcome. Let's wait a few seconds to let everyone join us. Okay, let's start our webinar. Hey everyone, hello, welcome. And thank you for joining us today. My name is Margarida Costa, I'm from Fabricate Startups, and I'm really happy to kick off this webinar about insurance. Today's session is part of Protechting. It's an open innovation program designed to foster innovation and collaboration between established corporations and promising startups from around the world. Through Protechting, Fidelidade, Zoom and Luxaúde are committed to empowering and working with startups to drive impactful change in the fields of insurtech, health tech, and tech enablers. If you have a startup on these fields, please check out our website at protechting.com and you can apply. Today's session will focus on the latest trends in insurtech, the future of insurance, and how technology is reshaping the sector. Guiding the conversation today is Ana Paula Reis, entrepreneur and investor, and also co-founder of Visor.ai. Feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat as we go along. We will do our best to get to as many as we can during the Q&A at the end. Thank you very much again for being here, and Ana Paula, it's over to you.
Thank you, Margarida. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome again to today's Protechting webinar, and this time on Revolutionizing Insurance, Trends and Future. Today we have with us three excellent panelists, as you're gonna see. Miguel Abecasis, Fidelidade board member, and also with the responsibility for innovation and transformation. Gonçalo Consiglieri from Visor.ai, a Protechting startup, and João Freire de Andrade, executive director at Start Ventures. So let's go straight into our theme, and I will start with Miguel Abecasis on current innovation trends in insurance. So Miguel, from your perspective and as a leader in Portugal's largest insurance company, what are the top 3 innovation trends currently shaping the industry, the insurance industry?
Thank you, Ana Paula, and thank you also for the opportunity to share a bit of my thoughts in this webinar. It's a pleasure. It's a very passionate topic that is currently under the mindsets of everyone in the insurance industry, not only Fidelidade. I'd say, I mean, the mega trends that currently influence the whole economic tissue are no different from the ones that actually affect the insurance industry. I think in the end, it's a bit the order of magnitude and intensity that is different from industry to industry, but I would pick the 3 that I would pick. I would say first, and this one is more peculiar to insurance, and I think the weight on the insurance industry is higher than on average the other industries, which is big data. So if you think about our business is around insuring risks, right? Protecting people against risks. And the recipe for success in the insurance industry is to be able to price well. So that means assessing risk properly and then be able to transform that into an adequate pricing that covers that risk and provides a decent margin for the insurance company. And big data, what it allows is the ability to deal and to treat and to manage vast amounts of data, which enables us to much accurately price those risks. And so in our value chain, underwriting is a pretty crucial step, and it's significantly steered by the ability that we have to cope with these big data and incorporate it into our risk models. And then be able to steer very significantly the way we personalize our offers, our value proposition, our services, be able to kind of offer people through the right channel, the right offer at the right timing is something that is also enabled. We have progressed immensely in the way we communicate, we engage with, we offer, we generate leads to our clients, and the conversion rates that this kind of data enables us is massively different from what we had, for instance, 10 years ago. I'd say the second big trend is digital and digital and automation, because I think in the end, these are two sides of kind of the mirror. I mean, digital is critical to be able to engage in a different way with our clients. And we have been working tremendously in adding digital properties to our value proposition, not only our websites, our apps, but also developing customized apps for managing and steering proper behavior in terms of driving with our Drive app, in terms of health and wellness with our Vitality app, in terms of savings with My Savings. And that is fantastic, but then you need to have the operating model beneath it working properly. To give you an example, a few years ago, one of the key steps in digitizing our UX UI was in health insurance. When we created in-app submissions of health reimbursements, and it worked really well. And today, the vast majority of health reimbursement requests are done in-app. But the problem was that the operating model, the middle and the back end, the front end was fully digital, but the middle and back end was completely manual. And so you frustrated completely the client's expectations that had a fully digital UX UI user experience. And then we took like 10 days to settle those reimbursements. And so today that changed because 50% of our reimbursements are fully automated, treated fully automated. But the truth is, digital and automation come together, both in servicing and in sales. In sales, I mean, we have our direct insurance company. Okay, today sells 80% digitally, 40% end-to-end through our web and app, 40% initiated online and finished offline, and only 20% actually done end-to-end offline. So that's why we changed the name. It's no longer OK Telescurs. Everyone knows like OK Telescurs. It's no longer OK Telescurs. It's now OK Scurs, because it's a digital company. It's not a phone-based company. And the third trend, I would say, it's of course the usual guest, AI and machine learning. I think there we've been working mostly, and I think where the insurance industry is starting is at introducing AI and machine learning, especially on claims management and customer service. In customer service, we work with our friends here, Gonçalo and the team. We have our chatbot Trusty. Gonçalo knows it well. They are the owners of it, and with tremendous degrees of success in terms of having, I think, more than 80% fully automated without any human intervention. And we also have roadside assistant being provided initially through IVR, but then if you don't follow the link and do it web app, you talk with a robot called Maria. So we are doing a lot of customer service, even at difficult moments in the relationship with the clients. A roadside assistant request is it's a moment of truth. And we are introducing AI, but also in claims management, we have introduced technologies that enable us to index, interpret, catalog, and complete claims management files. A claim is not a complaint, right? A claim is a motor accident. It's a water damage at home, an electrical damage at home. And you need to treat those claims. And there's numerous documents that typically fill into that. And we are now we haven't completely automated, but we have reduced 80% the manual work that was done in motor, in health insurance. And it's funny because we started by typical automated tools such as OCR, text mining, and stuff like that. And we were stuck at like 50%. And then at some point in time, we introduced AI. We used technology around the donuts, the famous transformers that are behind Gen AI. And they were able to do things such as, you know, we had a problem with people. When they have a motor accident, you have to fill this with someone else with the friendly declaration of accident, you know, and people sometimes don't write exactly on the right spaces, so they write the name a bit below or a bit on top, and with automated tools that don't have Gen AI, you cannot overcome that, and typically you failed. With Gen AI, the tool learns with itself, and it learns that you know, the construction of certain letters and numbers and so on and so forth, even if not in the right place, typically is meant to be a name or a license plate or something. And that boosted our ability to automate from 50% to close to 70% like this. And so AI and machine learning came to stay. They will disrupt the industry. And we are starting by claims management and by customer service. And I would say these are the three top mega trends.
Thank you, Miguel. And taking on exactly your third point, moving into AI's role on the client servicing component of insurance that you have also mentioned. Gonçalo, this question's for you. So Visor.ai specializes in AI-driven solutions like chatbots, right? So how do you see the role of AI evolving within insurance companies, and what other areas beyond customer service could AI impact in the future? Of course, Miguel has already told us about that, but give us your perspective.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us. And of course, it's always a pleasure to participate with our dear friends from Fidelidade and our dear colleagues in the panel. Well, at Visor.ai, we are incredibly excited about the potential of AI, especially to reshape the future of customer service in the insurance industry in ways that truly make difference. So today, AI-powered solutions are helping insurers to go beyond traditional services by offering fast, reliable, and accessible support that's available 24/7. But we believe that this is only the beginning. So this is not something that just getting started. With AI, customer service can evolve from merely transactional and easy things to deeply personal experiences. So we can easily today imagine a world where every interaction with an insurer feels seamless and intuitive, whether if it's filling a claim or updating a policy or even getting advice. So AI will allow insurance companies to tailor interactions to each customers in their unique needs, let's say, and preferences, making insurance more relatable and understandable, which is kind of something that usually insurance companies struggle a lot when dealing with their clients. So rather than navigating long phone trees or waiting on hold, customers can now receive instant responses and proactive guidance. This, of course, reduces stress during the moments where usually people needs the most. So usually when someone contacts an insurance company, usually that's a moment there they need some kind of quick support, and it's crucial for the insurance sector. AI also enables insurance to anticipate and solve issues before they become problems, so to become more proactive. By analyzing patterns in customer inquiries, AI can, of course, predict and address frequently asked questions, even before customers think to ask, because of patterns that companies can start now knowing how to answer due to the huge set of data that they already have. This proactive approach means insurance can now deliver a smoother experience, ensuring that customers feel taken care of, informed, and empowered at every step. In times of crisis, when emotions are high and quick assistance is crucial, the AI-driven customer service can offer the empathy and the responsiveness needed, helping customers navigate difficult moments with ease. And ultimately, related to the customer service itself, we envision a future where customer service in insurance feels less like a business function and more like a trusted guide in moments of needs. AI can now deliver not just answers to genuine support, forging a new level of trust between insurers and their clients. It's a transformative time, and at Visor.ai, we're proud to help insurers make the customer service an inspiring part of their mission, one that connects, reassures, and builds, of course, loyalty, which is very important. Miguel already mentioned some other places where AI, of course, is already being implemented in insurance companies. Even though they are not, let's say, directly in the scope of Visor.ai, I will just give some ideas on how I see that's where it could be applied beyond customer service. So I see AI helping insurance companies redefine the relationship with clients, of course, as I mentioned. And of course, not only in this, in terms of everything regarding to invoicing, for example. Invoicing, it's a process that usually it's done to the sorry, I'm just lost a little bit here. But yeah, there's a lot of different moments regarding to the risk, the assessment of risk. It's now easy for insurance companies to take care of data and use more robust AI models to deal with this data. Of course, in terms of claims, it's a huge problem, a huge process, very costly for insurance companies, and where AI is also helping to deal with. So yeah, we see a lot of potential. So usually AI it's very good dealing with tasks, not that much jobs, and we easily can take a look in every jobs in the company and try to find which tasks we could deliver and send to AI. And I would say that easily we can find a bunch of them that can be easily done by AI today.
So thank you, Gonçalo. Of course, money. Let's talk about investment trends in insurance, João. Of course, this is for you. As a VC specializing in early stage startups, what are the most promising areas of innovation you see in this space? And are there any particular technologies or business models that you think have the potential to actually disrupt the industry? And I would add, effectively and profitably.
Those are lots of requirements. Come on, Ana Paula.
Very demanding webinar, this one.
First of all, thanks a lot for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be here. So we are investing in B2B insurtech since 2016, and lots of things changed since 2016, from 2016 to now. Like I would say, you mentioned business models, for example. That's very interesting. Look at the most typical investments and the trend in investments in terms of business model and distribution were king a couple of years ago. So we had a huge chunk of the investment, more than 60% of the total tickets done in Europe were targeting distribution. And we had amazing players there. Even in Portugal, like we have very interesting cases like CoverFlex that redefine the benefits ecosystem, and it's piping insurance inside that journey, not just health insurance, but stuff like PPR, so more pension fund style types of things, and interesting, or habit analytics during embedded insurance. So at the point where once you are more prone to buy, the guys are located there, or even Ananzi, that's a company that basically it's covering e-commerce insurance, so last mile, so basically covering a little bit the things you're shipping. But basically, as Miguel said, like trying to make calculations based on parametric information, like imagine tracking numbers, etc., etc. So there's very interesting startups all over the world trying to redefine a little bit the distribution segment. What we have observed, it was very hard to penetrate. Like we're still in a very let's say sometimes classic environment. So if you look in Portugal, distribution of insurance is still heavily it's leveraged by or done or performed by brokers and physical people selling insurance. And there were like a huge promise here of the digitalization of this process. That's and if you look around Europe, like you had massive failures like Local, WeFox. So WeFox, it's still in a, let's say, in a reshaping process, but it was kind of very hard to just via let's say like so we're still struggling a little bit, and even if you look online, if you look to the listed companies for a period of time, for Root, even Metro Mile were bought by Lemonade. So even on those aspects like distribution, I would say the expectations versus the actual GWP were quite difficult moments. But again, we have good examples as the ones I've mentioned before. Then, of course, you got B2B software people like Visor.ai that are trying to optimize a little bit what is existing, and we see lots of corporations happening. We get very good examples as Visor.ai, but for example, I can mention Tech, so fraud, waste, and abuse technology to detect fraud on health insurance, which is something very specific, very directed to the business of insurance that could have a massive impact. For you to have an idea, just in Portugal, we face yearly more than 62 million in frauds that in the end are passed to the people, the people paying premiums. So and that's quite interesting. What is the downside in this type of business model, and what are people struggling with? As you might know, I'm also part of the association, and we just collected data. And this year, founders mentioned that 67%, so 67%, almost two-thirds, more than two-thirds of the deals take more than 1 year to close with incumbents. So selling to incumbents, you need heavy pockets. There's many reasons, and programs like Protechting, of course, are trying to help and be kind of a good way to kind of try to shorten that things, but this is something across industry. And sales and marketing and so getting to the market, getting traction, it's for 41% the top problem of these B2B sales startups. And then, of course, you got the very, very interesting business model that you mentioned, which is tech-enabled services, businesses. Like I think it's pretty interesting to see. So third-party administrators, so TPAs, leveraging artificial intelligence to be more efficient and more effective doing claims, sorting claims, for example, as claim sorting is a very well-known name. But in Portugal, you got players like Condoro doing that. Imagine for condo, so condominium administration, which is not the most classic thing. And then, of course, we got like, other nodes of the value chain, less spoken, but with huge probability, or let's say huge need of digitalization. The example of, for example, reinsurance, like the example of Supersedes, helping managing the treaties, and it's quite an interesting example, not so typically spoken, like once compared with distribution, it's much less spoken. But to finalize, I would say, and if you ask about tech, I think it's impossible to not speak about AI. I think if you look at investments, so allocations like AI was quite interesting in terms of quantity of capital allocated, multiples. So it's basically expensive to invest there. And many of them, I think what many investors are trying to do, it's assessing if it is just a simple layer using what is what exists already, so with very low value added, or if there's any moats. And to do so, typically we look at two things. So we have to understand if there's an inflection point there, so it's something more structural. There's many interesting surveys, for example, like the openness of an institution, a corporate now to use tech-enabled or AI-enabled tools. It's much bigger. Like it changed completely in the last 12 months, like from finding nice a ChatGPT journey to people getting used to that and actually using that in their daily tasks. It's completely shifted in the last 12 months. So that's an opportunity. So it's an inflection point. But the point is, do you have any insight? Do you have any domain expertise to use and leverage that and to add value? And that's typically where many of these startups fail, because basically people, it's a nice to have, but it's not something that will do a VC backable business that could grow a lot. So we're still very optimistic because there's a lot of things to do, but in the end, I think the important thing is having a very good value proposition for or the insurance company, or let's say to the insurance value chain, rather if it's distribution or insurer, whatever, fraud detection, claims management, etc., etc.
Thank you, João. So Miguel, from your perspective, focusing on programs like Protechting, what are the key factors that will determine the success of collaborations between startups and established insurers, like it's the case of Fidelidade? And how can programs like Protechting foster these partnerships and drive the sector-wide transformation?
Ana Paula, I mean, first of all, I think there is a tremendous opportunity, right? Because to be honest, you know, we've been focusing, especially after the privatization in 2014, and really modernizing and digitizing our business and operating model. But we're still a 216-year-old insurance company, right? And we do have legacy. We have a lot of legacy, and we know that, you know, compared to startups that are born without any sort of legacy, we have no chance to compete. And it's not our idea to compete. Our idea is actually exactly to find opportunities that are mutually beneficial for both Fidelidade as a group. And let's not forget, Fidelidade here stands as a group that owns not only insurance company, we are way beyond just an insurance company, right? We are in 14 countries. We have been developing, we are the owners of Lucia Wood, which also participates in Protechting, one of maybe the leading healthcare provider in Portugal. But we do explore numerous adjacencies in businesses where we find opportunities to bring value to Fidelidade. So, I mean, we have repair shops, we have vets, we have loss adjustment, we have roadside assistance, we have been developing presence in numerous adjacencies. We have been studying a lot, for instance, longevity and senior care. It's an area that we are investing a lot in and looking for opportunities. Sustainability is a major topic for us. So when we think about Fidelidade, please think about not only an insurance company, but a large group present in multiple countries and multiple sectors, looking for opportunities to create value through blending what startups bring to us in terms of agility, in terms of ideation, creativity, and ability to execute, the entrepreneurial spirit that startups have, which combined with, you know, our own experience, our capabilities developed in-house over more than 200 years, can make a unique combination, a unique recipe that clearly brings value. We do not perceive startups as a threat. We perceive startups as an opportunity. And the Protechting program is kind of, you know, bringing this to life, right? It's about a call to action, a call to the startups out there, to the entrepreneurs out there that hear our voice and our call for help and understand and perceive in Fidelidade and in the Protechting program, together with Fosun, by the way, a large Chinese conglomerate. The winners of last edition of Protechting had in May a vast tour around numerous cities in China to get to know potential investors, to know, you know, key people that can potentially trigger tremendous opportunities for them. And Lush, where, you know, health tech, med tech, it's a huge domain where opportunities for innovation exist. And so Protechting brings this to life. It's a program where we reach out for the startups out there that have good ideas and that have a unique opportunity to engage with the group Fidelidade, to get to know our people, to get to know our needs, also the needs of the real industries, right? The insurance industry, the health industry, but also other industries, and to provide opportunities to kind of try to converge and to see how can they match up and whether there is this product market fit that most startups are pretty much looking for. Sometimes we find tremendous ideas in the startups we work with, but that do not necessarily have this product market fit. And I think we have the reality check that enables startups to sometimes shape their value proposition, their operating in business models in order to make them much more realistic and to respond much better to market and client needs. And so in Protechting, by bringing these startups, by then, of course, filtering the ones that make more sense and creating a model of open collaboration, because this is what we do in Protechting. It's not about just doing stage gates where, according to a certain criteria, you select the startups that have the most potential. It's not about that at all. At some point in time, we work together, and we work together with the startups to make sure we help them shape, improve, optimize their product, their value proposition in order to make them market ready and viable from both a product and an economic perspective. And so that's all about Protechting. I think it's a unique, fantastic opportunity. And I think the previous editions that we had are a solid proof of what we're saying. And most opportunities that we identified as winners have thrived, have prospered. We have Gonçalo here as well, but others. There are other examples of startups that eventually came to work both with us, with Lushud, or eventually, and that's fine as well. They prospered outside the group Fidelidade, but that's fine as well. And that is also an accomplishment in our social function of bringing good to the world if we are able to help startups that eventually end up not working directly with us. That's also fine. But that's Protechting. Unique, fantastic opportunity to blend the experience of a large group with several corporations, such as the group Fidelidade, with the agility, the brilliance, and the creativity of the startups that we have out there, and that can make a unique combination, unique recipe.
Miguel, following on your answer, there is a question from the audience that I think is very, very relevant. A part of it I think you have answered, but a part you haven't. So I will restate the question because it follows very, very well on what you're saying. So the question is, from your experience, what are the most important factors that insurance companies consider when choosing to partner with a startup? You have sort of, but if you could be more specific. But there's a second part, which is very interesting, and is what can a startup do to stand out?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I mean, again, I think both questions are a bit intertwined, and it's never, there's not one single element that makes you stand out. I think there's a combination of elements that actually make you stand out. And I mean, first, typically it needs to be a solution that provides an answer for a market need, that fills in a market space where there's typically no prevailing solution, no winning solution. So occupying a market space where there's a prevalent need for a different, innovative solution is, I would say, the first criteria. If you're not actually responding to that, to be honest, you may have the best solution, the best team, and so on and so forth, but it's hardly going to be viable. Second, the solution needs to be powerful, robust. We need to believe it. It does not have to be like that in the very beginning, but it has to have the potential to become robust, to become differentiated and hard to replicate, hard to copycat. Third, I would say the team, the people behind the solution, the idea. And so, and the team typically depends on how many people. Often it's mostly about the combination of the different and the complementarity of the different elements within the team. You don't have to have Elon Musk or Bill Gates in the team. but the combination of the capabilities that the team has needs to be very powerful, very complete. Even if sometimes you don't cover and there's a couple of gaps, we can help you sort out how to fill in those gaps. But there needs to be some capabilities that are crucial for the development of the project. And then finally, sometimes you do cover a market space, you do have the product, you do have the team, but the economics don't work, right? There is no willingness to pay that is sufficient to cover for the cost of developing, investing in such a solution, and then having the running costs of having that solution working. So the economics need to have the potential of becoming viable. They don't have to be viable in the very first place, of course, but there needs to be, in terms of market sizing and market potential, and clients' willingness to pay an opportunity that is sufficient to cover for the development and the running costs of that opportunity. I would say these four, if you do well on these four, you will surely stand out.
Thank you. João, do you want to add something from the investor's perspective, very briefly, because we are almost at the end?
No, I think in the previous intervention, I spoke about it. I think what Miguel said, it's basically what will make a corporate buy your product. So if you're a B2B, follow that advice.
Great, thank you. So we have another question, and Margarida, I think I'm going to dive again into this question because it's very interesting. It says, when startups need to balance data privacy with the need for comprehensive data to build better AI-driven insurance products, which challenges do you anticipate in scaling AI solutions within the heavily regulated insurance industry? I would say this would be for Gonçalo, and then with Miguel also.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to get it well to just give my my opinion. When startups need to balance data privacy with the need for comprehensive data to build better AI-driven insurance products, which challenges do you anticipate in scaling AI solutions within the heavily regulated insurance industry? Well, I think we at Visor.ai, we are a good example of how to do it well, because working with insurance companies and banks, which is, I would say, both combined, they are, let's say, 80% of our revenue. So the typical clients we like to work with, it's because usually they don't work with every kind of vendor because of this. Because, for example, an insurance company doesn't go online and subscribe a SaaS product. They don't do it. So they have a procurement process, they have a legal process and everything, and they are very, very strict in terms of data protection. So one of the things that we did in Visor.ai that helped us a lot is, first, choose a cloud provider top tier. So AWS, Microsoft Azure, one of those. Second, prepare your infrastructure very well to be able to deploy virtual private clouds, meaning be able to just be open, let's say, to hear everything that the compliance departments from the company has to ask for you, and adapt your infrastructure in order to adapt to it, because you cannot fight them. So they will not do what you would like to do because of the way you think it's the best way. Maybe it is in terms of scalability and everything, but they need to cover themselves. And we just got it well by doing that. So we created this infrastructure, let's call it virtual private clouds, where we can do it for certain clients. It's a little bit more technical thing and something that doesn't, let's say, scale faster as if something in the same cloud, but gives all the quality and all the data requirements that clients usually need. That's one. Another one is anonymization. So all the crucial variables and all the crucial data that will be there, you need to have at least procedures to delete it or to anonymize it as soon as the company requests to you, or as soon as they put it in the contract with you, because they will. Because usually in GDPR, you have, I don't know, 2 years to get the data, and then you need to delete it. So you need to make sure that you cover all of those things. So usually this is advices that you don't get when you talk to, let's say, to the pure tech guys. But when you talk to companies like us, where our life has been this, dealing with enterprises like Fidelidade, this is key. Yeah, so that's my advice.
Miguel, do you have an advice from the big company's perspective on this important matter?
No, I mean, this is a key issue. I mean, compliance and regulation is definitely a key influencer of AI adoption and scaling. I just had lunch with the guys from Cambridge Telematics. I mean, they are one of the largest providers of telematics and the most successful. Telematics is still growing, but they are one of the leaders in the pole position to scale it up. And we were comparing, because then this differs by country and regulation. So in the US, there are things you can't do with the data that you collect from the way people drive. And then people have to provide authorization. So there's a bunch of limitations that we will need. And typically, I fear for Europe, because typically Europe tends to be way more regulated than the US. So if the US is going this direction, imagine Europe. And that is clearly stalling Europe in numerous dimensions. So I would say that is a clear issue, and it's not totally dependent on us. I think we need to comply, but I think the compliance and the regulation needs to be thoughtful and this understanding of the needs for the insurance companies. And yeah, I mean, I think scaling up AI, it's about overcoming those obstacles. I think there's a talent issue. I think the demand for AI is growing way more than the supply of talent is growing. So we have a huge issue. And then of course, I mean, especially in companies that are very traditional, there will always be a significant resistance from agents, brokers, and so on and so forth. But that will be overcome with time, I guess. I think compliance and regulation, compliance/regulation and talent, to me, are major question marks regarding Gen AI and AI evolution, as Gonçalo was describing.
This is a very interesting webinar with a lot of questions popping up, but we unfortunately need to wrap up. So I'll ask you three, please, to rush into a last question, which is on the role of technology and insurance transformation. How do each of you see this shaping your future plans, both in the organizational level, but also in the industry level? So a very quick answer. João, I would start with you, then Gonçalo, and closing this question with Miguel.
Again, we as VCs, of course we're always looking into technology, but typically we look in the other way around. It's like keep looking into what are the gaps on the businesses. I mean, in the case of insurance, there's lots of things to keep doing, and technology is definitely an enabler and a way to create moats. And sometimes that is you could compound that moat. I mean, that defensibility. For example, having algorithms and training it better and having more context and having more data to do so. It's an example of leveraging what you're doing. So I think in the end, like, of course, technology for many years, it's everywhere, right? But more than thinking of a specific technology, it's keep evolving with that technology and getting the most out of that. It's much more important what you're trying to solve them, specifically how you solve it. Of course, it needs to be compliant, it needs to be defensible, etc. But it changed a lot. Like I give you one generic example. Like the Euro Central Bank just tried to issue this effort of doing the CBDC, the digital, the crypto euro. And just the time it takes, like, it will be completely outdated because it will not start for 5 years. So that's the same what we've been observing in insurance. Like Miguel just mentioned, telematics. Like nowadays, the quantity of things, or let's say the speed or the quality of data, it's completely different than in 2016 or even before. So once I think Fidelidade drive started, right? So it's lots of things that are moving.
Gonçalo, quickly.
Okay, briefly. No, while you were making the question, I was thinking about two different sentences. One is from Mark Andreessen, who was the founder of Netscape, that said a few years ago, software is eating the world in all sectors. in the future, every company will become a software company. So an insurance company like Fidelidade is already a software company for, I don't say decades, but for a few years, of course. But then there's another sentence from the founder of NVIDIA that said, software is eating the world, but AI is going to eat software. So now it's where we are. So in theory, all of us could become programmers soon, because the programming of the future will be done by using natural language. So meaning that that's a huge disruption on the ways that big companies, not only insurance companies, think about software. So usually they think in a, let's say, centralized way. So having a procurement department of acquiring software for the company. In the future, there will be a disruption in that, because in theory, every employee can become their own, let's say, developer and create their own products to automate and help them in their daily basis. So it's a challenge. So to think about how could the company think in a centralized way, how to deal with software, and at the same time to embrace it and give space for some employees, because of course will not be all of them, but the more, let's say, the more tech savvy ones to do that by themselves. And one of the things that we see easily everywhere, it's the use of ChatGPT. So some companies completely have it forbidden, so it's impossible for them to do it. Some other companies already have it and even give them the employees support to use it. Some companies already implemented, for example, the Copilot from Microsoft. So this is something that we are seeing in a moment. So companies are trying to see how would they introduce AI in their, let's say, technology internal in the company. So I'm more curious to see how will it become than giving any kind of advice on that. So I'm just curious for it.
Thank you, Gonçalo. Miguel?
No, I mean, technology is at the core, right? I mean, all these mega trends we talked about, big data, AI, digital, it's all around technology. And for us, it's not only about, working with startups, but we also have to do our own job. I think, we need to be cautious, because we're still far from the day where we'll ask ChatGPT, can you, develop for me a model for pricing new policies in motor insurance. I don't think we're close, not even. I mean, we're very far away from that. But this said, I mean, it will. I think it's starting. We talked about numerous use cases. AI is, I think it's mostly starting by claims management, customer service, but there are also multiple tools and use cases that have been developed, and João mentioned, for instance, fraud management in current tech. We're working with them actually, and so it's evolving. It's evolving, and I think we'll need to be one step ahead, doing our own job at home and transforming our own architecture and adapting and evolving from the legacy to become actually a pioneer and a top player in terms of technology, but at the same time working with startups and having startups helping us address the technology challenge, which is probably the biggest challenge we have ahead of us.
So we're now really getting to the end. There are questions still unanswered. It proves that it really was and is a very interesting topic. Margarida Costa can follow up with your questions. So if you can address us, we can follow up with the panelists and try to get you to have some answers. Thank you, Miguel, Gonçalo, and João, for your insights in this important matter. And for those of you who have been watching, thank you for being with us, and stay tuned for more Protechting webinars and new perspectives on this and other sectors. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.